Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
So I'm out breaking trail, trying to get our freight trail laid in, to get mobile. Probably the latest I've ever waited to do it, but haven't had a need until now. But you know, snow is deep. We've measured over 7 feet of snow now. And with all the extreme cold, there's no moisture in the snow. It's just like walking through sand or salt or sugar. There's no base to it. Nothing has, there's no layers underneath that have firmed up. So anyway, back up the trail there. I'm right now, by the way, I'm just over 2 miles out from the house. I'm not even far. You know, it's 18 miles to the river. At any rate, the tree section is usually the hardest. Once I get out into the open swamps, then it's a little more forgiving and more flat. But even the smallest hills right now, back up the trail, I just cut out a dead spruce tree that was across the trail. Had to stop and cut that out and get it out of the way. And then I got this little bitty hill right here, a couple of small hills through this wooded area. And what's happened is, to make the snow depth even worse, this hill, the snow's blown off the top of the hill and it's blown to the bottom. And so it's even deeper. It's up over my waist down there. And as I was, snow machining along, the bottom just went out. And so I'm stuck. And so I've dug it out. I've packed down some of the area to try to get myself up the hill. But the snow is so sugary that even though cleaned out all around it, and with me pushing not even on it, and trying to push and give it gas at the same time, the track just digs down. It doesn't propel itself forward, it just goes down. So now I'm down almost to the ground, and there's just no way without some kind of assistance that I'm going to get up this hill, even this little tiny thing. And you know, once it's run once, then it becomes a non-issue after that, but it's his first time breaking it. So what I'm going to do right now is I've got a winch on the front of my machine. I attached a ratchet strap to that tree over there, so I'm going to run my cable out to that, and I'm going to try and winch and self-propel myself up onto the flat spot. Once I'm up here where I'm standing right now, I should be able to just get on the machine and ride to that next little section of hill. And I've got a couple more hills and a creek to cross in the next 400 or 500 yards. And then I break out into the open. My goal was just to get to the open marsh today, get this set, and get it groomed and everything so that, you know, it's ready for the next section. Excuse me. Wind's still blowing hard. It's not bad. I'm in the trees. It's about 10 degrees. The snow is drifting and then all back out into the open areas. So I don't want to work in the open today. I want to stay in the trees. So anyway, here I am trying to get myself unstuck. All right, so I've winched myself out, and you can kind of see, I don't know if you're going to be able to make that out very well, but that's just a hole right there where the track just sunk down to the ground, so there was just no way I was going to pull myself up and out to here. Compounded by the problem that this Arctic Cat Bearcat, first one I've ever owned, last one I'll ever buy. Horrible machine for trying to break trail. Go back to my Skidoo Super Wides, which I've owned for over 20 years. Such a disappointing machine when it comes to breaking trail. But I am up and out of this part, and so let's see if I can get up that next little incline, and then I got to drop down into a creek and then back up the other side. All right, well, good news, bad news. Good news was I was able to get on the machine and, of course, just drive right on through and get over that hill and down this side and to the creek. And the bad news is that obviously during the November, December extremely warm period, this creek was still flowing, and so when it snowed, it just melted it all away, and now I got this gully that I've got to fill in to get out of. It's not unusual. I usually have to do this to some extent. I think in 20 years only once or twice have I been able to actually just drive across it without having to stop. Most of the time I've got to spend a good deal of time. Usually though, it doesn't take me so long to get to this point. Usually this is where I spend most of my time. This year I've been having to work for every foot. So we got to dig this out, and then I'm going to get up over that hill, and then the marsh is right ahead. So I'm close. But there's going to be a fair amount of work to do here, so I guess I better get to it. All right, that took about, I don't know, 45 minutes to get done, but I've got it pretty much packed down. I think enough where I can work with it. Now I can get through and start grooming. Like I said, this is a critical spot, especially when I'm freighting, so it's worth taking the time now rather than having to deal with it later when I got 2,000-3,000 pounds of freight and I'm stuck here. So got that little creek shoveled in now. It'll firm up. Should be a nice little crossing, and I like it flat through here, you know, going out through there, so I can get some speed up and work my way up that hill when I'm carrying freight. So anyway, it's about 3:30 now. I'm only about 500 yards from breaking out into the marsh, so I think I'm going to jump on the machine and see if I can ride it on out the rest of the way. Keep my fingers crossed, hope my luck holds out. I don't have to stop somewhere else. I'm starting to get a little tired. Anyway, another section in, and we'll move a few feet forward. to the marsh now. Did my little turnaround here. Mostly marsh running all the way to Alexander Lake now, another 8 miles. Wind's still blowing, gonna wait for it to calm down. Maybe another day or two. Then I'll start laying in that section trail. But now, this is sweet. All that struggling and all that I went through the last couple of days just to get here. Piece of cake now. Always is. The worst piece of trail becomes the best. So I have got one of the toughest sections now laid in. So he says.